You're listening to the Premier Podcast Network. Welcome to the pinnacle of wrestling entertainment, Premier Streaming Network. Join us at watchonpremier.com to unlock the ultimate wrestling experience. Curated to perfection. Immerse yourself in the spectacular world of wrestling history, where classic battles and unforgettable moments are at your fingertips. Join us today and experience the epitome of curated wrestling content. Because when it comes to wrestling entertainment, Premier sets the standard. Be Premier.
Hey, everybody, this is Dominic DeAngelo. You may know me from such places as adfreeshows.com, Wrestling Inc., WrestleZone, some other sites. But I am here on Premier Network with the debut episode with none other. It's one of a kind here with Mr. Rob Van Dam, WWE Hall of Famer. And Rob, dude, thanks for joining me for this. This should be a fun ride, man.
Right on, man. I am looking forward to it. You know, I'm a little long-winded, so ask me a couple of questions. I think we'll call it a wrap. Boom, boom. A couple of these.
We'll get to it. It's good enough. Hey, so all right. Well, I guess we'll start off here. Just loose show format, guys. Basically, what we're gonna do is bullshit about. If Rob's watched wrestling, we'll talk about wrestling. If he hasn't, we'll talk about something else. But we'll always touch about a wrestling subject. We always have one encompassing topic that kind of circles through everything. But Rob does have some wrestling to talk about this week because he was pretty busy. You were on SmackDown starting off, announcing the draft, and then on Raw. Rob, how about you talk to us about that experience a little bit? How was that for you?
Yeah, well, you know, I saw you right smack in the middle in between on the other side of the country. So it was actually even busier than that. Really busy month. I think I had like 6 trips and one personal on top of all that. And, you know, I booked myself. So that's what I did. You know, I knew it was going to be really busy, but I just got home last night from this big run, the latest being SmackDown on Tuesday. So got back yesterday, and now I'm in chill mode. I'm happy to be home. Still got a lot of stuff going on. It's just that I don't have a trip for a few weeks. So a lot of the stuff is home related or business that I can handle from home. So yeah, it was cool, dude, being back at WWE. All because of this guy, right?
All because of that fella right there.
You know, got a lot of respect. I got a lot of the current wrestlers come up and tell me how much I inspired them, and you know that goes a long way. You know, that means a lot when it comes straight from them, because some of the guys you just don't know. You know, I've had some guys that I just, you know, was like, man, that guy's kind of like a dick. Like he never says anything, you know, and acts like he's just stuck to himself. And then we end up working or something, and the guy will be like, hey, just so you know, man, this is a dream match for me, or something like that, you know, or this is bucket list, man. This is great. It's an honor. And I'm like, really? Because you act like a dick. You never know. You never know what anyone else is thinking, what anyone else is going through. But had a good weekend, had a good month. But it was cool being at SmackDown and at Raw. It was cool as well, you know, a little bit looser, which is usually it's the other way around. SmackDown usually seems a little less tense. This time kind of seemed like the other way around, but maybe that's because it was day 2 for me. But also different round of some of the boys, you know, the legends. I was kind of grouped with Teddy Long and Eric Bischoff. Yeah, and Bradshaw. And so, you know, we were carpooled together and dressing room and stuff like that. But in between that, got to say hi to a lot of people and you know, meet a lot of new people. say hi to some of my friends,
Well, who stood out to you, like, first impression wise, like just from a personality standpoint? Who was like, kind of like, oh, I could definitely roll with this person and ride with this person at some point, if you're on the road again.
Yeah, almost everybody, they seemed really, really appreciative, and if you saw the pre-tape, the walk that we did when I had the card, and
Card, yep.
those two dudes, the Boone or Boog, big,
Oh,
giant,
Rick Booge. Yeah, Rick
yeah,
Booge. Yep.
those him and his partner, they were super cool, and the guy, man, um, I can't remember his name, but the guy he has like short blonde hair, like a military cut, and has like a psycho look in his eyes.
Oh, Dexter Loomis.
Thank you. Yeah,
Yep.
yeah.
Dexter Loomis.
I
Sam Shaw
had those guys for a while, and they were really cool, and all the LWO guys, they were all like real, and I didn't even realize that one of them was Zeon, not Eon,
Yeah.
Zeon.
Yeah. I'm a Zeon, is that it? Or something like that?
Zema Ion.
Zema Ion, that's it.
Yeah. Yeah, so I worked with him a lot in Impact, a long time ago, so that was cool. But cool to see Paul Heyman,
Yeah.
and didn't see Vince, saw Triple H, he's the boss there now, and he was cool. One thing that sticks out is I saw Brock for a minute. He was leaving, when it was kind of crossing paths, and hey Brock, and said hi to him, and man, he's bigger than I remember. He looked like a giant.
Yeah.
Maybe he had cowboy boots on, thinking about it right now, but man, he just looked like reminded me of maybe like of the Bigfoot action figure that I used to have to go with my $6 million man. That was a long time. You got to be in my age group to remember those. But
I remember seeing those, the Steve Austin ones, and yeah.
Oh yeah, and then the Bigfoot was so much bigger, and and he's just so big and jacked. I've always been a fan of his because look at him, and he's so credible and so athletic. But that really stuck out in my mind. Like, dude, I've always said, he fits the part. He's good for the business. So
absolutely, like like his mentality of that, and just kind of not giving any fucks. It's like you like that outlaw mentality that he has. Now, was he wearing like the duster kind of thing? And I know he was kind of going that like, because to your point, I think he was probably wearing cowboy boots.
Probably so, yeah. I think he probably had a hat on, and it was quick and dark, and I'm not one to notice fashion, so that's about as far as I can go to describe it.
As description wise.
Dude was big though.
Yeah,
it was good seeing everybody though. It was, and everybody, Matt Riddle and Kevin Owens was the first one to say, dude, the people are gonna be pissed that you're not drafting yourself.
Yeah.
I heard that several times afterwards.
Well, geez, I gotta say, I mean, from the crowd pop, holy shit, on both nights too. Yeah. It was you had to pause for both of those times. The crowd was into you, man.
Yeah, and on the first night, the ladies like, come on. But yeah, got to make time for that connection, and it was cool. And then I expect that. I'm not surprised. Some people will say, whether it's in a text message to me, or they're just talking, they'll say like, the people still remember you, and I'll be like, was that a question?
Yeah, well, I just think it's pretty cool because it just shows like the longevity and the kind of just the run that you've had in a lot of ways, and more so that you're like, yeah, what's kind of your plans coming up here? Like, are you just kind of seeing where life kind of goes? Because obviously you're in great shape. I saw you work in Pittsburgh here, and you haven't missed a beat and everything like that. What's kind of the name of the episode here is the Van Dam address. So what is the state of RVD at this moment in time?
Nevada.
Yeah.
Very recently, Texas and Pennsylvania. And Illinois and Indiana and California and Georgia and Tennessee and Maybe that's it for this month. Not counting, you can't count passing through changing airplanes and stuff. Although that's my only experience with Russia. But I did spend the night at the airport, so maybe that makes it count.
I think that counts.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I went through on the way back, and I got to know the place, so it was like this is my stop in Russia. But
There you go.
anyway, so if it sounds confusing to anybody, on SmackDown on Friday, we were in Corpus Christi, and WWE knew that I had a match that I was already booked against the stunning Channing Decker.
That's right.
Canada's greatest in Ross Draver in Pennsylvania. So that was, I can hear it in my voice. I'm still recovering from a lot of travel, and I started a little on the tired side, so it wasn't a good trip to catch up on rest. But like I said, it was one of those months, nothing at all like being with WWE and being nonstop, 5 different towns every single week, and then going home. Like nothing at all like that. Just really busy and really good, really productive. So on Saturday, I went and had a match, and you rode down from the airport with me.
Yep.
And, yep. And our friend YouTube Chris.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
Cool,
we talked
dude.
about some plans. Yeah. So that was cool. Had the match, and then the next morning flew back to Dallas, Fort Worth for Monday Night Raw. And then Tuesday flew to Nevada, where I am currently residing. But so it was real easy because there wasn't a lot to do. I would have liked to have done more, of course. That would have been cool. I'd like to have done a run in and frog splash somebody, but that's cool.
Hell yeah. Hell yeah. I think everybody will like that.
I really don't feel comfortable in a suit. You know what I mean? Like that's one thing that I could learn to, I guess, maybe. No, I probably couldn't, you know what I mean? But I was just thinking, like, if people all the time were like, no, really, like, you look really nice. This is, then I guess you would believe anything. We get our feedback from everyone. Otherwise, who are we to say whether we're good looking or what? You know what I mean? Like, it's all bounced back off other people's observations. But yeah, I can't imagine ever not feeling like stuffy and uncomfortable and wishing I could take the jacket off, to feel more like me.
The suits drive me nuts too. It's like, if I have to wear one, I will. But I mean, if I have the option, I'll wear a button-up collar, unbutton it a little bit, roll up the sleeves, and there we go. That's good enough for me. That's like the most I want to dress up. But if you had the option,
really,
if you had the option to kind of go like when you went out there to announce the draft stuff, what would you have worn? What would you have gone with?
Oh, my wrestling outfit. No, I wouldn't wear that. You again, I'm not Mr. Fashion. I would have asked Katie to dress me.
Yeah.
She buys all my shoes, and I'm so not used to getting compliments about what I'm wearing. For the first several times, someone said, hey, nice kicks. Hey, I like your kicks. I thought they meant my martial arts,
Oh.
And it took a while till I was like, wait, they're complimenting something I'm wearing, because that's never been a strong point for me.
Were those the purple Jordans you were wearing?
Yeah.
Those were nice. Those were nice kicks.
Yeah. So I asked WWE when they booked it, what about wardrobe? Am I wearing something special? Because I didn't know what I was doing at first, just, the dates. And then I was told, yeah, I guess just, street clothes, whatever you're wearing. I said, all right, like jeans, whatever, cool. And then the day of, then they said, hey, Rob, do you have a jacket? Like, fuck no. and so they had to go shopping. And then they went and they got a purple shirt to match the purple Jordans. So that was pretty cool.
Nice.
Yeah. And then I saw some assholes on Twitter saying something about RVD can't even afford a suit that fits him. Look at this. Like, there's always like some horrible.
You can't escape it. It's always there. Some fucking troll's gonna get at you.
Yeah.
Well, okay, let's talk about Ross Draver a little bit. I thought so that was the first time I was ever there. And I know IWC, it's the local promotion here in Pittsburgh and stuff like that. And they've been around forever. They used to be called Steel City Wrestling when I saw them like way back in the day. But You were telling me on the ride over, you're like, yeah, I've been there. Like you wrestled there for ECW and stuff, and you're like, it's kind of a shithole. And then when we walked in, I saw it, and it was a shithole.
Exact same shithole. Yeah,
That same shithole. Here's a picture of it right there. And I think that's an older picture because it didn't look that pristine. I would say
it looks nice there. That's definitely right after the maid left. You know.
Yes, right. Well, so I was doing a little research, and here the fucking roof fell in like 2010 during a snowstorm. So that was the Ross, and they rebuilt it. Like they structured it back up. But
who knew?
Who knew that shit? But
recaptured the same shittiness instead of
it did. They were like, you know what? Let's keep the tradition going and make it still look like a shithole.
Yeah, because in comparison, like the ECW arena in Philly, you know, it's unrecognizable compared to back in the day. It's so nice now, and the way they have the partitions, and they have a whole bar and rooms that weren't there, and everything's different. The dressing rooms, bathrooms, like it's so different. It's like they gutted it out and started from scratch. And in comparison, this is the same shithole.
Yeah, but they wanted to just keep with the tradition there. No, I'm with you on the 2300. I was never at the original ECW arena. I think nearing the end at like 2010 when ROH was doing shows there, it was different then, but it's very much like, I'm sure what it didn't look like. What I saw on television at the old ECW arena it's not what that is anymore. But it's an interesting place though, nonetheless.
And I mentioned that when WWE brought ECW back, and then you know, for a while there, we were piggybacking on SmackDown somehow. I guess for the TVs.
Yeah, maybe that. Yeah,
maybe it was just TVs, and then maybe eventually we went off and did our house shows or whatever. But at some point, there was ECW live events, as they called them, and they booked the same shitholes that ECW used to run back in the day that I used to hate. And I was thinking, no, this, you know, we're not trying to recapture the same shittiness, you know. And this was one of them. I remember being booked in at the fucking Ross Raver Ice Gardens for WWE, and I was like, man, no, because you know a lot of it also was from the dressing room point of view, and like there's nowhere to stretch for me. You know what I mean?
You were saying that, yeah.
I'm gonna be laying down on the dirty floor somewhere, hoping I don't get stepped on. And as you saw, there was paint chips everywhere this time. So those paint chips, I haven't even opened up my bag yet because I just got in last night, and I have since the match because I always let my wet stuff air out, you know, at the hotel. But since I've gotten home yet, I bet when I pull out my clothes and stuff, they have those fucking paint chips.
You're gonna shake it out like an old Italian woman outside of a window.
That's not racial. I don't know.
That's all right. I could say it. I'm half Italian.
Yeah, let's go. Manja.
Yo. Okay. Well, as far as the shitty ECW tour arena, like what was your most dreaded one that you had to deal with around that, like this circuit area kind of thing?
The shittiest?
Yeah, the shittiest if you had to go along.
What I think of is Jim Thorpe. And so if any fans remember the Jim Thorpe arena, it was some kind of I think it was a bar. Like I'm thinking maybe possibly it could have had some kind of a secret society like the American Legion or Shriners or some, you know, one of those purpose buildings, you know, like the veteran halls, but maybe. Otherwise, it could have just been a public bar. I don't know. It was really weird. But the wrestlers where we would dress was like a big area. It's really dark. There was no lights in this room, and it was like a screened-in porch, and it hung over the side of the fucking mountain.
What?
And there's holes in the floor, and when it rained, everything was wet. There's wet carpet all over, and your feet are like bumping all over like boards that are sticking up. And it was such a shithole. All of our stuff would get wet, and we would always just say, you know, one day when Big Sal or Bubba, the wrong amount of people come back here, we're going down that fucking mountain.
You get roadkill back there and fucking Big Sal.
It was shitty. The thing was slanted too. It was there's no way that passed any kind of legitimate fire code. It was a safety hazard and a half. And this is the building where one time out in the venue area where the ring was, they started a riot. I can't remember if it was the Dudleys or New Jack that started this riot, and they actually brought riot police. They came in like with shields and stuff. It was so weird. And they had a dog, a German Shepherd that they let loose. And the German Shepherd is in our shitty dressing room, you know. And we're kind of hoping that he falls through a hole and goes off the cliff, because he was he was a cop dog, and we all got shit in our bags. And Tracy Smothers was saying, get that dog, kick that dog, he's a stooge, kick that dog, he's a stooge, man. Kick him. And because he was gonna like smell all of our bags and shit out. But that was a crazy fucking night. And I would not be surprised if the building has fallen off the cliff since I was there, which was probably like 99-ish.
Well, if it hasn't, they probably should have just bulldozed it right over anyways. Just put it out of its misery still to be.
I wouldn't be surprised to hear if anything like that did happen.
Jesus, man.
Probably did.
Probably odds are.
Yeah.
Jeez. Well, so something that we did too, we had a driver that was helping us. He was one of the trainees there. We went to Applebee's. And I was so surprised that we were able to find something like that at that point in time, because usually in Pittsburgh, in that area, you can't find shit. And we were really looking. And lo and behold, Applebee's was open.
You got to experience in that one night how much fun it can be when you're on the road, and then you leave after a show and everywhere is closed when you're trying to get food. I don't know how we used to do it before the smartphones. That was really crazy. Trying to find hotels and food, and try to find our fucking way to the next town. Even like, it's amazing that we used to be able to do all that shit.
Oh, man, it is unbelievable. And you were saying that food is so tough to do, and finding time to work out and everything like that when you're on the road like that. Holy shit. Well,
got to give up something. Some of the boys will give up sleep for it, like Bob Holly, someone like that that's really intense. And like what's his name, Mr. S?
Oh, like Billy Gunn.
Yeah, that dude. Like those guys, I can see them going to bed at 2 a.m. and still getting up at 7 to fucking hit the gym, because they're not going to miss a workout. But usually you got to give up something and learn how to balance.
The balance is key. It is key. I especially if you're doing that shit. But like, so what happened too is when I was talking to him earlier, I won't say his name, but before we met up, I was like, oh, you can maybe get some input from Rob or anything like that. Well, he never really said anything. And so, but when you went to the bathroom, Chris was like, hey, you should ask RVD any questions or anything like that. And he was like, yeah, maybe, but you could tell he was kind of nervous about it. He's a newer kid and everything like that. I wanted to just get your perspective from it. If he was to ask you something, how, or to the level of like, how do you approach that when that happens? When somebody like, because a lot of the younger talent is intimidated or kind of like uptight and little things like that. Would you encourage something like that for them to do so, if he took the moment to kind of pick your brain a little bit, so to speak, during those times? Or how do you feel about all that kind of
I think unless he had any specific questions, that it would be awkward to just try to open up the floor for discussion on anything and assume that I feel like talking about it. You know what I mean? Like,
sure.
It's weird when like at signings, sometimes people will say that, they'll just be like, hey man, what would you say to someone that that wants to be a wrestler? It's like, God, that's so vague.
Yeah, that's very, very vague.
So I gave them a vague answer, whatever's on my mind. Thought questions changed for me. That's part of being one of a kind. It is one of the many things that I've noticed that's different about myself when I study the status quo or the basic thinkers. I don't really have a lot of like favorites that stick out in my mind as favorites. So when people want to know, I don't think I have like a favorite color, and like if you ask me what my favorite movie is, it's probably going to change. I go with a lot of times, but other times I might give a different answer. And it's not that I'm lying, but at that point, that's what comes to my mind. And it's like, so, when if someone just says, hey, any advice for someone starting out, I just say, make sure ask yourself what you're doing it for, what the reason is, and then remember that, because someday you might have to fall back on that. You might have to ask yourself, what the fuck am I doing this for? And then you already got your reason. And, if it changed, if it stayed the same, that might help you out. But, that's circumstantially, it could be anything.
Absolutely. And like,
it could be, dude, lose some fucking weight. You're 800 pounds, bro.
It could be any of those. And no, I think too, like even just that basis kind of thought process of like, hey, just look at it from that foundation is like, okay, that's a good start. And like, to where you kind of launch off and go from there. But yeah, it's like, to your point though, it's like, it would be tough to be in that position and be like, okay, I'm just going to ask this guy a question that, I'm driving around and certain things like that. It'd put a little awkward there, I think, too.
Yeah, unless there's something really specific, you know what I mean? Like I remember when I was training, the Sheik trained. It was very like it wasn't like a school. It was really personal. Like three of us, maybe four. Once in a while, five of us that worked out, and we were like family. We ate with the Sheik. We ate dinner afterwards and stuff, And we were taught so stiff just to squeeze each other and pull each other down and try to pin each other. And it was all about that just gruff, like wrestling and protecting the business, And so if he got scuffed up, got a little bloody, that was awesome. That was good for the business. That's how we got trained. Other people quite different. And I remember my first year or two in learning that some of the wrestlers did this really weak ass wrestler handshake. I don't know if you're familiar with it.
Like the fish handshake thing? Yeah.
Yeah.
The fish handshake? Yeah.
And a lot of times they'll do like two fingers, like someone, I don't know who started that.
Oh, really? They'll do two?
Yeah. They'll be like, hey brother.
What?
Hey brother, good to meet you. Or, hey brother, good to see you. And anyway, it's a traditional handshake. And I had like some of the guys like El Snow and some of his like that, we'd squeeze their hand and they'd be like, whoa, bro, way too stiff, and you gotta lighten up. And saying that the idea was that you're shaking hands with someone that's in the same business with you, and let's just say there's a lot you can learn from the handshake about how that person is going to be in the ring.
Right.
That's the idea behind it, right? And so I asked Sheik one time, I was like, they're telling me to do this, but it's weird. I don't know, like if they're gonna grab my hand or if it's gonna be weak, and I don't know. They said that I'm doing it too stiff, and Sheik was just like, fuck them. You grab their hand and squeeze it like a man. I was like, good enough.
Hey, all right.
I don't want to give anybody a false impression that they're not gonna feel me in the ring anyway.
Right? Yeah. No, I like learning from him too. It's just like, and JR talked about it on his podcast too, how it's like you learn a certain mentality from the Sheik, and like he had his ways up in the Michigan area and Detroit area. It's like, so like to get that kind of insight from him early on that's a pretty damn good head start. And not only that, but it's just like you're a unique one too at that one.
Right. And Sabu as well. And we're both unique in different ways. But we have a lot in common, as far as like the Sheik taught us to believe in what we're doing every moment. And it's something that's missing now because these guys now don't have the Sheik or even our mentality, like really like processed and taught into them. They just kind of watched us and took what they liked, and then they're missing some stuff, but that's the way it is, and I wouldn't have had it any other way. I'm glad that I went, and fortunate that I had the Sheik as my mentor.
It's a hell of a guy, hell of a guy to learn from for sure. Well, I want to get to like usually our wrestling topic. Well, this would be like kind of our focus usually through the episode, but I think it was pretty cool because it's kind of timely, because you had two people talking about you a couple of weeks ago. It was Kurt Angle and it was Jim Ross. Both had some great stuff to say about you. And you got to listen to both of them. What did you think of both of those episodes? And then I'll get a little detail about how you worked with Kurt, and then your thought process on JR too.
Yeah, I listened to both of those episodes while I was working out, and they were both awesome. I think because of 420, it was RVD month.
Yeah, it was.
And they both were very nice, and they both had a lot of good things to say about me, and they're both guys that I consider friends, especially in a place where there's a lot of guys out there that I would expect to not have as many things, or maybe not have noticed as many of the things that these guys pointed out, because they're cool and we're cool like that. One thing that I'll bring up, JR was actually, it was Conrad that was reading something JR put out way back in 2001 when there was rumors that they were hiring me, and and so Conrad's reading, and JR is saying, I know we haven't hired RVD. We haven't been talking to him. He said, I've only talked to his manager one time. And at that time I expressed that there was mild interest, and I also suggested if he has some other offers that are better, that maybe he should go. I told him that he's not a priority with WWE right now. And when I was listening to that show, like my ego got kicked in the balls, I was like, oh, and I was like, I remember getting that letter. Like that almost never happens to me. There's been 2 times, and that's why, I don't want to really put it out there for it to happen again, because it sucks. But this time it wasn't huge, but it was like, I'm thinking that everybody wants me. I'm in demand. I could go. I got my choice of places that I want to work. That's what the kayfabe sheets are saying. Right. And also I know that I've got some offers, from here and then from other places. And then when I got that, when I heard that, I remember, thinking like, wow, really? He said that? And when Conrad was reading that from JR, I got refreshed that emotion again, like, motherfucker. And then JR says, yeah, I was lying.
I was lying straight out. He said it.
I was lying. Yeah, I wanted to hire him. I'd always wanted to hire him. And he said, we were negotiating. I handled it exactly how Vince wanted me to handle it. And I was like, wow, that's crazy.
No, and like you could tell JR loves you. Like he's really into RVD and like what you're able to bring. And like even in 97 when you started out, he like kept tabs on you and stuff like that. It was just like to kind of have that guy back you and know that you got the time. It's obviously like you're there, It's like JR knows his shit. So how did you think about him too, as working with him behind the scenes overall, and not just as a commentator, but just as, an individual that you got to interact with?
I like him a lot more now than I did back then. I was caught up in political warfare, which I pushed back against very much. And he was part of that. He was Office.
Yeah.
And him and Paul Heyman were kind of playing tug of war with me over who brought me in and who would get credit for it. And it was frustrating to me because I would talk to one and then I would happen to talk to the other one. And it was weird because they were like, bearing each other through me. And it was just like, it was driving me nuts. But also he was the money guy. I went to him when I first got there after my first match. And I said, I don't work for this. Are you kidding me? I got a $500 check for wrestling my first house show against Johnny, what's his name? Damn. I'm thinking the mobster Johnny Stompanato, but Johnny the Bull.
Oh, Stamboli.
Yeah, that guy.
Johnny Stamboli. Mm-hmm.
Brother, yeah. Anyway, we had a match in Atlanta, and I got $500, and I was like, I haven't worked for this in like years, like what the fuck, and this was like one of maybe the second that I remember real talk that I had with JR. The first one he talked about at the Marriott when he had to hire me, or had to pre-screen me to hire. And then this time he was like, well, you want to be the guy, that sells the tickets. And I'm like, what control do I have over that? You know what I mean? And he said, well, yeah, well, it's going to take time. He said, look, that may not seem like very much, but you multiply that, times 20, 30 days a week. I mean, a month. And he said, and it goes up. And he said, you want to be the guy, not necessarily the main event, but the match that they talk about on the radio, the match that's on the poster, the match that's on the T-shirt that they're selling tickets to, and he went on to tell me at that time that Steve Austin had made a 7-digit royalty payment, which is quarterly, and so I'm thinking like, damn, that sounds cool, but that's him, and I got fed that a lot of times, but anyway, he was saying, you got to hang in there, and I was like, well, if it's gonna take a while, I'm gonna have to hit you guys up for a loan first because I have my life, my living expenses. I didn't think I was coming here to lose money, and then there was that talk, and then there was a couple times, at least twice that I can remember. When I went to him because I thought that the check was wrong, and both times he was just like, "Oh, you're right." And I was like, "Man, is that part of the system? Was that something I'm supposed to do regularly?" Because I'm not good at stuff like that. But what was expected of me. But it was like you said. I was gonna get at least this much, and oh yeah, you're right. We were bumped off WrestleMania and put on heat or something, but you said I'd still get paid as if I was on Mania, and this ain't, that was one of them, and there was another one. So, he was always cool. I learned to like him a lot more, and everybody in general, I learned to like a lot more later in life after my competitive perspective actually dissipated, basically.
Well, he was saying that too on the podcast. It's like that everybody, like the wrestling mentality is a lot like, hey, it's competitive. Not only that, but you have like the alpha male kind of identity there that's going on. And then on top of that, he's somebody that's, he's the money man. He's the talent guy. It's just like, there's that kind of wedge there that's kind of built in, from a business perspective with, a bunch of pro wrestlers. So yeah, it definitely creates that kind of vibe, but you could tell he really likes you. That's for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah,
he was never like uncool or did anything to me, that I know of.
Yeah. Well, talk about Angle too. He loved working with you. He even said on the show that he wished he could have had like a long-term program with you, and like you guys worked a little bit in the new ECW and cross paths here and there too when a WWE like hardcore title stuff. Talk about working with Kurt, because he kind of, from his amateur wrestling background, obviously he knows like working snug and working stiff, and so I think he appreciated that from you too.
Yeah, he kept saying that every time the other guy mentioned me being snug, he kept taking that bullet for me.
Yeah,
and I'm more snug, and I mean, first off, Kurt's such a great wrestler and a great pro wrestler, a great athlete, you know, in general. Like he took to our business so quick from what he was doing, and is so gifted. And I liked the competitiveness of wrestling with somebody like that, you know, because it's going to be a way different match than if I'm wrestling, I don't know, one man gang. I'm just throwing a name out there, but you know, um, and uh, and because I had that ECW spirit and fire inside of me, that really made me want to stand up to him, you know, even though he's an Olympic hero, you know, and be like, dude, I am unbeatable right now. And that's how I felt, you know.
Yeah.
I felt like, damn, nothing can touch me right now. And so I really enjoyed that. I remember one time he said something to me. We did something. There was something, some flaw, something we might have bumped heads or something in the ring. I don't know what it was. The match was almost over, and he said something. And I know he doesn't remember this. It wasn't a big deal, but it's something I remember.
Sure. Yeah.
That he was like, "You're not listening to me." And I took so much offense to that, you know, being the veteran that, you know, and just being in the position that I was. And I'm like, what? I'm not listening to you. And the the match ended and he left first, you know. And I was in the ring and I just kept saying, I'm not listening to him. Did he just fucking say that? And I was like so hot about it, you know. I had myself all worked up, and I went back. And I went, you know, when I went back there, I went like straight to him. He was sitting there, you know, at the monitor, and I was, you know, and he was, hey, thanks. I was like, Kurt, let's talk outside right now. And I was like so steaming, and he came out there, and I said, I'm not listening to you. And I said, that's what you tell me? I need to listen to you? Who the fuck are you? And he's like, what? And I said, you said I'm not listening to you. He goes, no, I didn't. He's got like chew in his mouth and stuff. I was like,
you really?
Holding a cup, you know, in his flip flops. He's like, I didn't say that. I go, dude, that's exactly what you said. Nah, I didn't say that. Did I? Nah, I don't think I said that. I mean, I mean it if I said that, you know. And it was just like like that. Like it was just like over and funny then at that point, you know, just because he was being Crazy Kurt. You know, he kind of got that nickname a little from some of the people, from some of the stuff that he did. But awesome dude. And, you know, I knew when he was in Impact that, you know, he was like the top guy. And that made it okay to consider that another place to possibly work if the WWE thing wasn't working out, which, you know, for me ended up being the case.
Yeah, so he was kind of like the lead-in almost to be like, hey, so if Kurt's working there and he's establishing himself there, you're like, that could be potential for me too.
Although the office told me that he wasn't getting paid what he was rumored to be getting paid, you know, and I don't know what, but that was a big factor in it too. You know what I mean?
Sure. Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Way less work for comparable, you know, same numbers. So.
Totally. What'd you think too? I think you mentioned it, like Kurt just really good at, he caught on so quickly, but like not only from the wrestling aspect, but like from the charisma aspect too, where it's just like backstage, his comedic timing was just on point. I was like flabbergasted to learn that he was one of the rare people that used scripts back at the time, you know, where it was just like, he could memorize all that shit and he had the comedic timing. It was just pretty impressive for him.
Gifted. He knew how to commit, you know, and that it's really a lot of it is about commitment. And that's something that I realized kind of after having so much experience with acting, where I didn't even realize that it's how much I commit is how much I make that part, whatever it is, real, instead of thinking about, I wonder what the director wants, you know, or if I can try to play it off the way I'm guessing he wants it to be done. But instead, you know, if you just know for sure in your mind what this is, and you do that, then that's the better way to go, even if it's the opposite of what the person wanted, because that takes talent, and that's a great actor, but it's also someone that's believable and convincing in every way, because you know, they fucking believe it.
Yeah, and you know, he was able to do that too, very, very well.
Yeah.
Well, okay, so how are you? Sometimes we'll go off the beaten path a little bit, but we're always going to close it out here with RVDology, something that you've done on YouTube before. I think it's fascinating, and it's a really cool way to kind of, I think, cap off the show. It's kind of like I told you initially in the pitch, is like Jerry Springer's final thoughts. Rest in peace. But we can. So I want to give you the floor. We'll close out the show with this. But before we do that, though, let's. What do you got going on? What can we plug? What's happening in the world of
May
RVD?
21st, I'm in Baltimore. That's my next time that I leave town to go somewhere. Filming another Dark Side of the Ring before then. That's coming back, if you didn't know. But this might even be for the next season, because this guy's not even advertised in the ones that they're advertising for this coming season. So anyway, I'm trying to keep my appearances up now at robvandam.com. I've had the website forever, and I forget sometimes for years that I have it. Recently I realized that I had it updated, but I'm going to figure out how to keep it updated so I can keep my upcoming appearances and recent news on there. That's mostly what's important there. The links to my other stuff, but on YouTube, that's how you can keep up with me and see all the current stuff. I have it, right now I'm a couple of weeks behind, so that's because I've been so busy, but I got it. But anyway, yeah, one of the things I do on there is RVDology. And this is, a lot of people, for some reason, if I post some thoughts, I have people that feel like they're my parents for some reason. And they feel like they should tell me, like, Rob, you need to do more of this, or hey, go do less of this. It's time Rob, you're this old, you need to do this or that or whatever. And it's like, man, I resent that so much. I've always kind of pushed back against just the traditional pressure.
Yeah.
And the pressure to conform,
Yeah.
Because for me, it's always been what's wrong with asking questions instead of being a blind sheep and just going with the flock? My dad always encouraged me to ask questions. With RVDology, this is the way I do it. So you can't say that I'm wrong at the way that I'm doing my own philosophy and my own thoughts.
Yep.
You can't. You can say that you disagree with them, and that's fine. But nonetheless, these are, and there's a bunch of these episodes on there. These are some values that I myself use and have found them to be very successful in helping me achieve a better life. I'm 52 years old. I wouldn't go backwards for anything. Like, my life gets better and better the longer I'm around, and the more I learn about how to make my life better. And the more I learn how to prioritize and how to pay attention to things that pick my energy up, and how to ignore things that bring my energy down. And the payoff is just tremendous in the quality of life. I mean, I don't know if that comes across, but a lot of people live with a lot of stress, a lot of hate. They put out a lot of negative comments. Maybe they hate their job, they hate their family, they hate their car, they hate where they live, blah, blah, blah. That's not me. And so I can't tell everybody, hey, you shouldn't do what you're doing. You should do what I'm doing. But I do offer up. I'm just offering up my ways. And, from the feedback, it is helping a lot of people. I am a positive energy kind of person. So people that are energy vampires, I'm very apparent that they're around. And I've had friends that the more I learned about what I needed, the less I could be around them, just because of the life they had to offer me by hanging out with them, And so let me use this as an example. You might be the kind, let's say you're driving down the road and all of a sudden a car comes very fast beside you, passes you, and then pulls over in front of you. And then they have to slow down and then take the exit that's there, like, really quick. All right. A lot of people will be like, what the fuck is this guy doing? Had to go up there and pass me just to make that fucking exit like that. I would be thinking, I wonder why that guy had to go up there that fast. Maybe he didn't realize that the exit was going to be there that quick. You know, maybe his wife's pregnant. I don't know, but I know that there is a reason. And basic thinkers can't think that far. They can only think just the one stage of how everything affects them. They don't have any empathy, and it's the majority of people, I fear, the majority of the status quo. And I think that a lot of people think it's okay to be that way. And, you know, I would argue against that point, at least for me. You know, if you want to be cool like RVD, then, you know, first off, you might say, hey, that was a good move. I can't believe you actually cut over 3 lanes and made that. Good job, bro.
Impressive.
Yeah. I mean, you know, it's a lot more about giving energy, you know. So I talk about a subject, and then I always, by the way, RVDology is full of stories that nobody has ever heard, ever.
I didn't hear them. Yeah.
No.
The Mike Starr story you told and all that stuff. I didn't know any of that.
Which one was it?
The Mike Starr story. It was, I think, the one with commitment. I believe it was.
Okay. Yeah.
Well, no, what people think about you. That was it. What people.
Okay.
Think. Yep.
Well, anyway, yeah, they're all. I always end them in stories, you know, to try to relate when I learned some lessons that are relevant, the subject, and they're all stories and no one's ever heard of. And by the way, I also do that and elaborate on different stories that no one else has heard that I'm collecting on audio, and they're all going to be part of a project in the near future. So that's something too. But here's something, the most basic rule of RVDology that I think that everybody should be able to accept. And then once you accept it, you have to make it part of your new perspective. You have to reprogram yourself as an adult if you're trying to grow. Mm-hmm. I'm not going to tell anyone you have to do this or you should do that. But if you're interested in like spiritual growth, you have to reprogram yourself as an adult. So, by the way, if anybody has a doobie, this is a good time to.
This is the good time to light it up, Rob. I'm going to give you the whole floor here. So,
smoke our way up.
Yeah. There you go.
Okay, cool. So, eat, sleep, smoke, repeat. Here's something that I run into all the time, and it's frustrating, but frustration is a negative vibe, so I try not to hold on to it. And usually just awareness, pointing something out, is dealing with it to a great enough extent to where hopefully it won't frustrate you anymore. But here's the thing. We all have our own values. Boom. That's it. Like, if I could have a church of RVDologists, I would have them repeat that 1,000 times until they know that it's true, because it answers so many questions and so much unnecessary drama with people. You know, when you're a kid, it might be like, ooh, you know, why are you wearing those shoes? You know, or why do you hang out with that guy? Or, ooh, why do you like that song? Anything, you know, or why do you play that musical instrument? Whatever it is, you know what I mean? I hated all that. I hated trying to fit in. I hated other people trying to tell me that my values didn't work and that I should use their values instead. That's never made sense to me. But still, at 52, I see so many basic thinkers that need to be reminded this. They don't understand, you know, like, man, why does she like that guy? I'd beat his ass. Well, you know what? She might not be into whoever's the toughest. This isn't caveman days. You know, I had to learn that one myself. That's a little primal for some of the things you can offer a lady now. Anyway, we all have our own values, and you should not expect other people to have the exact same values as you. Usually, the more values we share with somebody, the more we'll enjoy their company. The easier it'll be to hang out with them. But if they're a little bit, their values are different, guess what? That can add to the experience as well, and just make it more entertaining to be with each other. Katie and I share so many of the same values. I never thought that I would want to date someone in the entertainment business, because I see what goes on with the traveling and with the girls traveling with the guys and this and that. But when Katie and I started dating, it was like magic, and I realized that we understood each other's goals, priorities. We understood business, everything about it, and we had such a bond that we can trust each other regardless of what we see other people doing, and it's fucking amazing, and the payoff is incredible. Now, where she has some other values. That's great. I love to see her happy. Um, I don't have to be into twerking to know that she enjoys it. And I'll tell you this, I would much rather be with a group of 5 girls that are twerking and screaming and having fun and putting each other over, said, yes, you're hot, than being in a group of 5 dudes that are saying, girls are fucking stupid. I hate that twerking. Forget about it. Put me in the group with the girls every time. And the reason I say that they put each other over, that's true too. Other girls that just want to hate on the girls, that's something too that does not is not conducive to RVDology. Putting people down, finding a negative thing. If it's joking or whatever, or you're going for shock value, so you point out something just to laugh, but it's inside and you don't want to hurt someone's feelings. That there's reasons for everything, but take trolls. I saw somebody put a shitty comment, something, maybe it was RVD looks old or something, something on Twitter. It was opposite of what everyone else said. And I was like, let me see who this person is. And every single one of their comments, and it was to all different fields of entertainment, was all just bullshit. It was like, the Rams sucked this year. And then it was like, this is the worst season for so-and-so. They didn't have any followers. I was like, what a horrible person that just wants to spit that out into the universe. And what kind of a life can you expect from that? What you're surrounding yourself with the shit that you're spewing out of your mouth, and you're burying yourself in your own little dark feces-filled apartment. So everyone has their own values, and doesn't mean you have to agree with them. There's pedophiles out there, and hey, I'm not going to accept that value. Well, you don't have to. There are lines. We all draw lines. We don't all draw lines in the same place. That's another RVDology episode, by the way. And something that you have to know, because it is value-based where we draw our lines. A lot of people would do a lot of things that I would never do. But guess what? I'm all right with that. I don't have to know why this person wants to do this thing that I don't want to do, how this person could stand doing this. It's okay. We're all different. And when it comes to even physical, we have our own body chemistry. We react differently to different things. I said something recently on a post that I had been working on depleting sugar, and I feel good. Oh, I said I don't get addicted to anything.
Yeah.
Right. And I don't, and so that is, I'm not putting that up there and saying, tell me I'm wrong. But these people would say, well, you will get addicted to coffee if you drink it 4 days in a row and quit. Hey, fuck you. You think that I haven't done that before I made that statement? At 52 years old, you don't think that I have drank coffee and then stopped enough times to feel comfortable saying that I don't get addicted to it? And I don't. And the same thing with pot. I can smoke it all day for several days, and then I can go several days without, no problem. I could do that with pain pills. Although I do get a little restless leg
syndrome.
A little bit when I'm if I do that with opiates, or even kratom will do that if I've taken a lot of it for several days and then and then stop. So that is a type of withdrawal. But yeah, I just don't understand, why can people not accept that we're all different, because that is everything that I stand for. That's why this show is one of a kind, because my perspective is going to be different. It always is. I'm used to that now. I'm used to the fact that I see things different than other people. It's cool to look at me in the ring and say, oh, I like RVD's Rolling Thunder. But if you watch this and you watch me, you're going to see how the sausage is made, because I think outside the box all the time. And some people just can't do that, and they can't accept that that can be done. And how the hell is somebody going to tell me this is what's going to happen to your body if you do this? If you drink 6 cups a day for 3 days and then you stop, you will get headaches and you will get shaky hands. Fuck you. You are so ignorant. Why do you feel like you can say that to other people that you don't know? Anyway, I'm trying to make a point because I'm one of a kind, and I think that we all are. And I think that it's important for me to remind everybody that we're all unique. We all got our own chances in life. And, if you think you're just a spot filler, then you're just a background character and that's how you live your life, then, hey, more power to you. But if you think you might have some things in common with RVD here, it's not just about being able to kick ass and do a sweet 5-star frog splash. It's also about using my head. I like to think. I like to inspire other people to think. And that's what I want to leave today on is check out the Real RVD YouTube. You're welcome to look at every RVDology episode. There's 20 or so on there. Maybe more, and leave comments. Let me know also if you have any thoughts about it, because that's why I do it. We're all different. We all have different values based on our own perspectives in our own lives. It doesn't mean that everybody's should be treated equal, but it does mean that it's okay that this person likes to read comic books and you don't. Don't create drama. Don't create any disturbance in the force if you want to master RVDology.
Well, you're right. Like, there's a whole lot of basic thinkers out there, and you can see it. And the fact that if you're able to kind of just go from the look of, hey, we all got different values. We all look at things a different way, and it's just people are not going to line up with you, and you might not vibe with that person very well. It's just, and if empathy is a big thing too that you mentioned, and I think that's a huge takeaway. Is like, no, you're not thinking about, like, if somebody's kind of a dick to you, or you're walking by, nobody says hello. Say a lot of the times too, I would say hi to people. Growing up in rural Pennsylvania, I'm like, okay, I say hi to people, and like, if somebody doesn't say hi back, I initially would probably have got offended or been upset, or that guy's an asshole or whatever. Yeah. Whereas maybe they're just having a shitty day, I would give them another chance, or maybe they didn't hear me. Another thing that could that be? It's just like, you got to think a little outside of things a little bit. And that's what RVDology is doing, man. So
basic thinkers do not use empathy. They don't understand that the other person that they're talking about isn't just a character in their life. That person is doing what they're doing for a reason. Just because you don't know the reason doesn't mean there's no reason. There's definitely a reason. And it's one thing to just say, yeah, I do get that. I understand that. But it's another thing to have that perspective all the time. And that's what I call empathetic, is when you have that perspective and you know that, if you push this dude out in the street and gets hit by a car, that sucked for him. You're not just laughing because it was cool for you. Yeah. There's horrible people out there. But there's good ones too. And they're the good ones that listen to us.
It's a one of a kind here. And it's one of a kind here. We thank you for joining us for episode 1 here. We can't wait to keep on going here. It's going to be a fun time. And we'll kick on a whole bunch of different subjects. So
let's take requests on what people want to see too.
Yes, absolutely. And hey, we always want to take questions too. As Rob mentioned, RVD YouTube, you can go right up top here, rvdpod.com. It'll lead you right to there. So go there, like, subscribe. But then also, if you guys want to ask questions, we're gonna end this. We'll end the show too, along with RVDology, but we'll end it with Ask RVD. So he'll field fan questions, all that stuff. We'll get you on here and get some of your feedback. Feedback, anything.
We'll try to get our doobies worth at the end of the show.
That's right. And next episode too, I will talk to you about my interaction with marijuana. I'm a very novice when it comes to that, but I have some stories to tell. So we can touch upon that coming up.
And we'll do this again next week. Hey?
Yep, absolutely. So okay, guys, we'll see you here next week on One of a Kind.
Oh,
yeah.
One of a Kind.